Today we're going to be checking out the Sky Viper v2450 FPV by Skyrocket Toys. I like the Sky Vipers for flying line of sight, so let's get it into the air and check it out. The Sky Viper v2450 FPV is an update to the v2400, and these are basically just fixing things that they probably should have put on the v2400. So if you own a v2400, you may not be interested in this one because there's only a few slight differences. The major one being the adjustable camera, and this is probably definitely the best update. One of the cons on the 2400 is the camera is fixed at a downward angle, so you do end up getting a lot of ground footage if you're flying fast. With the 2450, you can adjust the camera to slightly upward, so if you're flying fast, you will get less ground footage, but you'll also get your arms and the props in your shot, so be aware of that. But if you want to do more aerial photography type flying, you can move the camera to a downward angle, and you are going to have to fly a little bit higher, but you won't get the arms and the props in the shot. Sky Viper also claims to have improved range on the 2450, and I did have a few issues with the 2400 with range and basically just losing control and kind of having a mind of its own. Haven't really experienced that yet with the 2450. The transmitter does sort of beep at you a lot, and there are instances where I have briefly lost control, but it comes back. So I guess I'm not 100% sold on whether the range has improved or not. As always with these toy grade quadcopters, you're not going to want to fly them too far away from you, and I would say that's especially true with these Sky Vipers. I think they are a lot of fun to fly in close proximity to yourself, but be aware that the farther away you get, the more likely you are to lose your signal. As far as the FPV goggles go, I haven't really messed around with them yet. I might come back with another video where we give it an FPV flight, but I found the FPV transmission back to my smart device to be a little bit laggy, and I don't think you can really fly at true FPV that way, so I have some concerns about flying with goggles and this FPV feed. But I probably will give it a try, and I'll let you guys know how that goes. You'll notice in the flight review video that the FPV transmission is a little bit laggy, but it is usable to line up your shot and get some aerial video and know what you're shooting. I do feel like I had better FPV reception on the v2400, so I'm not sure if this is just a thing that's gonna vary from quad to quad, or I am using my Samsung Galaxy S5, so perhaps if I was using a newer phone, I have the Google Pixel XL, I might try to set that up with it and see how that works. Also, you'll see in the flight review, the flight characteristics of the 2450 are a little bit dialed down from the 2400. And to me, that's a little bit of a con because I really liked how the 2400 flew. It could do really tight funnels, and it was a lot of fun to fly like that. This one, they seem to have dialed down the yaw rate, so you can't do the tight funnels anymore. Not 100% sure why they did that. Maybe they got some complaints about how hard it was to control in the higher rate. But for me personally, I like that rate. So if you have a 2400, you may not want to make the jump to the 2450. There aren't a whole lot of differences between the two other than the adjustable camera. And that is kind of a big difference. It is nice to have the adjustable camera, but for 99 bucks, I'm not sure you want to make that jump if you just recently purchased the 2400. It is nice that it does come with the FPV goggles, but I'm not 100% sure on how usable those are. So if you don't have a 2400, you might be interested in picking this up, but if you do, you're probably going to want to skip it. Let's get into the flight review and I'll show you how it flies. This is going to be the flight review of the Sky Viper v2450 FPV. This is the updated version of the v2400. And what is different about this quad? If you look at it, it looks almost identical, unless if you're really looking at it, it has black geared motors instead of white like the old one. But when you come around to the front here, your camera is adjustable. So that was one of the knocks on the old version. It had a camera angle kind of downward like that. This one, you can put it at slightly up. So if you're flying with a fast forward pitch, you're still gonna get decent video. And if you wanna just go straight on, you can do that. Or if you wanna get up in the air and get some aerial footage of the location, you can point it down like that. I'm gonna put mine right about there for now. And underneath here, it basically comes with the same battery. This is a 650 milliamp hour 1-cell battery with a JST connector. So your old batteries for the 2400 will work in this one, and it does slide in with a little bit of push up on the plastic there, and it goes in, and you notice it kind of rattles around a little bit. That's because there is a larger, I think 1200 milliamp hour battery available for this. It'll give you longer flight time. I'll see if I can get a hold of that and do a video with that one. And the JST plug, the old one, the plug kind of came down the front and kind of wrapped around underneath to plug it in, but this one's just going to plug in right in the back here. So we're going to plug that in now, set it down level surface, turn our transmitter on. I like to turn my transmitter on in mode 1 sensitivity because I like to start out in 1. I feel like I get better flights out of that. The old one had a few bugs in it, and I found that when I started it off in mode 1, I didn't have as many problems. So this one also has the app, and when you first purchase this, you're going to download the app, and then you're going to connect, and then it's going to have you set a password in the Wi-Fi. So the first time you do that, you're gonna have to be aware of that. Apologize there, I had a few issues with my Mobazin screen recorder. So the app here is the Skyviper Video Viewer app, I believe. Skyviper Video app, that's what it says here, but I think it actually has viewer in the title. So it'll boot up with the Skyrocket thing, you get your password thing, and as I was saying earlier, I had to do a little update, firmware update when I first launched this, and it actually failed. It said it failed, and then when I restarted the thing, it was all good to go. So don't be alarmed if you get that message, just try to reboot it. So let's go into our viewer here, and you get the connecting thing. So in the upper left corner, best video quality. So it's basically just saying it's recording the SD card. So 100% battery up here in the upper left, that is from the quadcopter. This is gonna be your transmitter signal strength, I believe, next to it, and then you got your Skyviper logo in the middle. Tells you your clips that you recorded, your pictures, and it looks like are we losing radio signal here? Anyway, 72% full on the SD card. This button here is going to put it into like FPV mode, so you can fly this with the goggles. I'll probably come back with a different video with the goggles. And this button here will switch between picture and video mode. The red circle will record your video. If you switch it to the other mode, it's kind of like the shutter thing. So we'll go to video, and then you have on the bottom of the screen your altitude, your time of your flight, and then like a menu. So it gives you settings to save to the SD card or on the Wi-Fi. So depending on what you're doing, you may want to switch where you're saving that. So I'm gonna start my video here, and you'll get the red flashing with the counter. Also, you get, once you take off, you will get a timer that'll start on the bottom there. So this will launch by default in auto mode, and in this one it gives you a separate button on the transmitter. Go over the transmitter real quick. You get your auto or manual flight mode button, and then the auto launch and auto land, your sensitivity button or switch, power button, trim buttons, and then you have a video and a stunt button here. So let's do an auto launch if we are, in fact, oh, we weren't even connected, my bad. I didn't even have the thing on. What's the matter with me? So I gave it a little bit of throttle there, and it's gonna do like an auto thing, so that's one way of taking off. And let's do a little landing real fast. So just to demonstrate that again, I gave it some throttle, and it's gonna just take off for you when you do that. I'm also gonna land it again one more time if I can. Missed my landing pad. And you can also just push this button, and that's gonna do the same thing. And it's gonna idle up the motors for a second and then just take off when it's ready. So let's come around back, shooting towards me, getting a nice little picture, FPV picture. We are in the low sensitivity. A little bit of wind coming at my back, so it's blowing it around just a little bit. But this one can handle a decent amount of wind, so no big deal. fly it around. Let's go up a little bit in altitude. We're back at this park. It's one of my favorite locations to fly. Getting some wind coming that way. I'm gonna go to the second rate here, just to wind direction changed coming at me now as I've turned to my right. And we are up in the sky. Let's come around here and get a shot of the pavilion. Cool little shot of the pavilion. Got some kid yelling in the background, apologize for that. And coming overhead here. So we'll just fly around the park a little bit. I'm gonna shoot towards the park. Shoot a little video there at the park. Should be coming into view with the pavilion. And you do get, at this angle I'm at right here, you do get a little bit of propellers in the shot. So I'm gonna come down here. We're still in auto mode. I'm gonna go with manual and just push the manual button on the transmitter and bring it in here. And I'm gonna actually lower the camera angle for a second. So there we go. Now we're pointed all the way down, I believe. This is as low as the camera will go. So we'll bring it up. And now we are not getting any of the arms in the shot, but you do get more ground footage this way. So flying around a little bit over us here. Let's come back, give it a little yaw. We got pavilion, we got a 3-minute flight time. So there we go. I'm gonna bring it back in, and I am going to give it kind of like a more of a straight on view with the camera here and hand launch it. So let's do some stunts, and the stunt button is on the upper left, closest to the front here. You can see that. Okay, so we did one flip there. Let's do some more flips. Back flip, recovers pretty well from these flips. A roll. Let's roll the other way. Nice. And front flip. There we go. And this one also does the barrel rolls. Let's try that, I believe, right? It just does barrel rolls. Yep, there you go, barrel roll. Catching some wind there. Wind will mess with your barometer a little bit. I am actually gonna go in the third rate now. So that was all on the second rate there. And you will notice between the 2400 and this 2450, the third rate is not as aggressive as the old one used to be. So they dial it down a little bit. Maybe, I don't know, people were getting out of control with it or something. I liked how aggressive that flew in the third rate. It'll still go pretty fast forward pitch, but the yaw is way dialed down, and this one will not funnel like the old one would. Let's bring it in and just show you that real quick. So we'll stop it right here and try to do like a funnel, but this one doesn't really funnel the yaw on it. It's kind of slow. I mean, it funnels a little bit. We're getting blown a little bit by some wind. Let's come back towards me here. Let's do a backflip. Nice. And let's give you a yaw demonstration here on the third rate. So I'm gonna put it out this way because the wind is gonna take it back this way. So not real quick on the yaw, but quick enough. It's not super slow, but also not super fast. Personally, I'd like it just a tad bit faster. I wish on this third rate, you know, they gave you a real aggressive flight characteristic like they used to, but they kind of dialed it down a little bit. So there we go. Let's shoot some more video of the pavilion here. You can go low. We do have the arms in the shot here. Let's just go into the pavilion and come back out. Wind coming at me here a little bit. We'll go out the bigger opening, come around. Does get a little wobbly in the wind here. And yeah, wind seems to make it do some little weird things. Seem to get a little, I got some beeps at me. It will give you low signal alarm. And that has happened to me a few times. I don't know what that sound was. happened to me a few times, but I've never like totally lost it. So the old one had a few bugs like that where it would just kind of do some weird things on you. This one kind of gives you a little warning that it's gonna get a little weird, but doesn't seem to affect it all that much. So now the wind has picked up a little bit, and this one can still fight the wind, but obviously if you're out flying in the wind, you want to be careful, because wind is when you tend to lose these toy grade quads. So see the wind's pushing it back there, and we're losing altitude. I'm kind of unclear on whether when you're in this manual mode, I think that shuts the barometer off. Yeah, it seems to be losing altitude. Let's go back to the auto and just see. Yep, when you're in the auto mode, it's gonna hold your height with the barometer, and the wind is pushing it back towards us. I wanna bring it in one more time. Let me put it in manual for this. Oh, we got a low battery warning. The flight is 7:56 right now, recording time anyway. So that was one other thing I wanted to mention too, was, I guess I'll land it. I was going to, lower the camera a little bit and do some more video, but probably, wind's picking up here, so probably a good idea to land this. So what I'm gonna do is stop my video here, recording on the Sky Viper, and let's go back to our landing pad here for a sec. I think we got a storm rolling in. We got some dark clouds up there, but looks good over there. So who knows? So just real quick on the app here. This timer in the bottom doesn't seem to, actually no, I don't want to shut that off yet. The timer on the bottom here doesn't seem to be 100% accurate. Let's go to our gallery. And if you go in here on that third tab, it's gonna give you like flight information. And mine says 33 flights made. I have not flown this 33 times yet. What it does is it seems to kind of break up your individual flights. So I'm not 100% accurate on how it's doing this, but it does give you information, total air time, your max altitude, photos and videos taken. I think that's only if you record to your smart device. If you're recording on the SD card, I guess it doesn't log them. So the app is fully functioning and pretty cool. I like it. It's very similar to the old app. It looks like they made a few improvements. So there you go, guys. Sky Viper v2450 FPV. This was the line of sight flight. I will come back with a FPV where I attempt to fly this Wi-Fi with the FPV VR headset, although I am a little bit concerned about flying it that way. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Let me shut this off here, pull the battery out, turn off our transmitter, and let me stop my screen recording. So it is a little bit I do have a few concerns flying this with the VR goggles, because the Wi-Fi tends to cut out quite a bit. But there you go, guys. I'm gonna leave you guys with some more flight footage of the v2450 here. And thanks for watching as always. And I'll see you guys in the next video.